Welcome to the Structured Approach channel, today starting with a series on Introduction on Enterprise Architecture. The series consists of 4 videos answering the following questions. 1. What is an architecture? 2. What is an enterprise architecture? 3. Which benefits are provided by an enterprise architecture? And 4. Which benefits are provided by enterprise architecture frameworks? The series is for all of you being somehow in touch with the concept of enterprise architecture. You might be an executive or decision maker and aim to understand a concept being super relevant to many companies and organizations. Or you might be an architect, already knowing about the related concepts but looking for conclusive and consistent suggestions on how to answer the questions mentioned before. So without any further ado, let's get started with the first topic: what is an architecture? Have you ever listened to or even participated in a discussion on enterprise architecture? You might have recognized that the participants in the discussion had no common sense on the meaning of architecture to start with, more often than not without even being aware about this lack of common sense. Reasons are often not a lack of individual expertise, but a lack of common expertise and common terminology. Consequently, discussions on enterprise architecture either tend to be wasted time or not effective, since a great amount of time needs to be invested to get a common understanding on expertise and terminology. In order to prevent discussions without the needed common fundamentals and terminology, I recommend you to start with a definition of architecture as provided by ISO 42010-2007. ISO defines architecture as the fundamental organization of a system, embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and the environment, and the principles governing its design and evolution. According to this definition, an architecture provides information on the fundamental organization of a system without providing a definition of system structured in its components, their relationships to each other and the environment, as well as the principles governing its design and evolution. According to the definition of ISO, it can be concluded that inherently every system consists of an architecture, since every system has an organization, can be structured in its components and the relationship to each other and the environment, and follows some principles on its design and evolution. Consequently, the ISO definition is a good starting point for a common understanding on architecture, but does not provide guidance on the difference between the system inherent architecture and its formal description, typically the nice diagrams being created by architects in some kind of modeling software. In order to avoid misconception, other sources and technical literature such as the Open Group Architecture Framework TOGAF extends the definition of architecture. TOGAF defines architecture as a formal description of a system or a detailed plan of the system at component level to guide its implementation. TOGAF also defines architecture as a structure of components, their inner relationships, and the principles and guidelines governing their design and evolution over time. Comparing the definition provided by ISO with the definition provided by TOGAF, one might recognize that TOGAF's second definition applies to what ISO defines as an architecture. TOGAF's first definition, on the other side, extends ISO's definition by the formal description of the system in terms of diagrams and models created by architects to describe the system, its components, and all the relationships and associations. The advantage of TOGAF's approach on architecture definition is that in a discussion, participants need only to agree on which aspect of architecture the discussion is about, on architecture itself or on its formal description. The disadvantage of TOGAF's approach is the semantic overload of the term architecture. In order to avoid confusion, it can be beneficial to make a difference between the architecture according to the definition of ISO or TOGAF's second definition and the architecture model defined as the formal description of the architecture according to TOGAF's first definition. In this video, I did provide you the definition of architecture referencing to ISO 42010 and TOGAF as the inherent structure of a system, its components, their inner relationships to each other and the environment, as well as its principles on design and evolution. According to another aspect of TOGAF's definition of architecture, and to avoid confusion in the difference between the architecture and its formal description, the term architecture model was introduced. Architecture model is defined as the formal description of the relevant aspects of the architecture regarding a specific context. Based on the information provided in this video, the next video provides definition of and discussion on the concept of enterprise architecture. I hope you found the presentation useful and you are looking forward to joining the next one.